There is a specific kind of exhaustion nobody talks about. It isn't physical. It isn't emotional in the way people typically describe. It lives somewhere deeper, in the part of you that has spent years carefully adjusting who you are depending on who is standing in front of you. You have done it so many times that you barely notice it anymore. A softer voice here, a withdrawn opinion there, a laugh that doesn't quite belong to you. And somewhere along the way, without any dramatic moment, without any single decision you consciously made, you began disappearing inside your own life. Most people spend years trying to explain themselves to people who already decided who they are. And the devastating part is that they never notice it unfolding. They believe communication failed. They believe they chose the wrong words. They tell themselves that if they could just articulate more precisely, behave more carefully, become more agreeable, then finally someone would genuinely understand them. But Carl Jung perceived something far darker about human nature. People rarely encounter you as you truly are. They encounter you as their mind permits you to exist. The moment you fully absorb this, your entire orientation toward other people begins shifting, because you start noticing something deeply unsettling beneath every interaction. Every social exchange contains two separate realities. The first is who you genuinely are. The second is the psychological role people unconsciously assign to you. And most human beings spend their entire existence trapped inside roles they never selected for themselves. The responsible one, the quiet one, the strong one, the sensitive one, the entertaining one, the one who never complains. Once a group establishes your identity, every action you perform, every word you speak, every boundary you attempt gets processed through that compressed version of you. Even your evolution becomes suspicious to them, especially your evolution, because people feel psychologically secure when your identity remains predictable. Predictability maintains social hierarchy. The moment you develop beyond the role they assigned you, tension emerges. You notice it in subtle things first. You grow more self-assured, and suddenly people describe you as arrogant. You stop over-justifying your decisions, and people accuse you of becoming cold. You establish limits, and others begin quietly withdrawing, not because you deteriorated as a person, but because the version of you they benefited from is dissolving in front of them. People do not resent your limitations. They resent the possibility that you might outgrow them. Jung maintained that human beings are perpetually projecting unconscious material onto others, meaning most people are not genuinely engaging with you. They are engaging with their interpretation of you, their fears, their insecurities, their unmet desires, their concealed frustrations. And once you perceive this with clarity, certain memories begin rearranging themselves inside your mind. You recall moments where people misread intentions you considered transparent. Moments where compassion was interpreted as vulnerability. Silence misread as insecurity. Ambition misread as selfishness. You begin arriving at something deeply uncomfortable. Being understood was never entirely within your control. Because understanding demands self-awareness, and most people are not sufficiently self-aware to see beyond their own projections. Drop 11 in the comments right now. 11. I am finally awake enough to stop explaining myself to people who were never truly looking. That is why certain people will penalize you for changing. Not openly, psychologically, subtly. Their energy shifts. Their tone alters. Their encouragement disappears the moment you stop inhabiting the character they constructed for you. And strangely, the more genuine you become, the fewer people feel at ease around you, because authenticity disrupts social illusions. Most relationships are built on silent, psychological agreements nobody openly discusses. I will keep being who you anticipate me to be if you do the same for me. The moment one person breaks that contract, discomfort ignites. This is why so many people feel hollow after social interaction without understanding the source of it. They believe they are tired from conversation, but they are actually tired from performing. Tired from managing reactions. Tired from recalibrating their personality depending on who occupies the space in front of them. Tired from carrying versions of themselves that no longer feel truthful. And over time, something dangerous quietly takes hold. The constructed self becomes more socially rewarded than the authentic one. Jung cautioned about this through the concept of the persona, the mask developed to endure society. Initially, the mask shields you. Then, it confines you. Because the more approval you receive for performing the role, the more difficult it becomes to release it. The agreeable person becomes incapable of expressing anger. The resilient person becomes incapable of admitting pain. The intelligent person becomes terrified of appearing ignorant. And eventually, people no longer relate to each other with honesty. They relate to masks, negotiating with masks. That is why so many conversations feel hollow, even when words are exchanged for hours. Very little truth is actually present. Most people are strategically presenting acceptable fragments of themselves while concealing everything that might jeopardize social acceptance. And the tragedy is, they often perform this for so long that they forget who they were before the performance commenced. You can observe this in almost every social environment: schools, families, friend groups, workplaces. Every system quietly rewards predictability. The person who behaves consistently becomes easier to categorize, and categorized people are easier to manage. The moment someone transforms unexpectedly, anxiety moves through the group, because evolution destabilizes unconscious social order. Consider how uncomfortable people become when someone suddenly acquires genuine confidence. Not performative confidence, real, grounded confidence. The quiet person starts communicating directly. The insecure person stops seeking external validation. The people pleaser learns to say no. Suddenly, the environment reacts in strange ways, not always with hostility, but with subtle humor, distance, passive aggression, quiet exclusion. Because human beings unconsciously pressure each other to remain psychologically familiar. Generosity without limits quietly instructs people how to use you. And most people never recognize how much of their personality was socially engineered through reward and punishment. As children, approval sculpted behavior. Smile more. Be polite. Don't speak too loudly. Don't disturb others. Don't be difficult. Eventually, survival becomes attached to being accepted. So the mind constructs a terrifying internal equation. If misunderstanding risks rejection, then authenticity becomes a threat. This is where many people fracture internally. One self becomes visible. The other self gets buried beneath the surface. But buried does not mean extinguished. Jung named this buried dimension the shadow. And the shadow does not dissolve simply because you choose to ignore it. It waits quietly, inside resentment, inside sudden flashes of anger, inside fantasies you never voice aloud, inside an exhaustion that carries no logical explanation. The more someone suppresses their authentic impulses in pursuit of acceptance, the heavier the shadow grows, until eventually they no longer know whether people love them or merely love the version of them that remains easy to absorb. Write 444 in the comments. 444. My shadow is not my enemy. It is the part of me I was taught to abandon. That realization transforms a person, because once you perceive it, you begin examining every relationship through a different lens. Who actually understands you, and who only understands the role you learned to perform for survival? At a certain point, a particular kind of loneliness begins to surface. Not the loneliness of being physically alone, the loneliness of being unseen. You can occupy a room filled with people who laugh beside you, converse with you, spend years in your presence, and still feel psychologically invisible. Because somewhere beneath the surface, you know they are engaging with a carefully edited version of you, not the real thing. And the disturbing element is that they may sincerely believe they know you. That is precisely what makes this realization so isolating. Most misunderstandings are not accidental. They are structural. Human beings simplify each other to reduce psychological complexity. Your own mind does the same thing. The brain generates compressed identities because fully comprehending another person demands enormous emotional energy. So instead, people manufacture symbols. He's unstable. She's difficult. He's driven. She's emotional. Once the label solidifies, the mind begins filtering reality through it. Evidence that supports the label gets retained. Evidence that contradicts it gets dismissed. This is why altering people's perception of you feels nearly impossible. You are not contesting their opinion. You are contesting the stability of their internal world. Because if they misjudged you, they must also face the possibility that they misjudge others, perhaps even themselves. Most people evade that confrontation at every cost. It is psychologically safer to reduce someone to a fixed identity than to accept the full complexity of a human being. And this is where Jung becomes genuinely unsettling. Because Jung believed that what irritates us most intensely in others often reveals the disowned territory within ourselves. The arrogant person activates concealed insecurity. The confident person exposes buried self-contempt. The liberated person reminds others of the confinement they emotionally accepted long ago. This is why authenticity generates